Hello, Lion fans. We've got another edition of Chat with Craig or Conversations with Craig. I'm not even sure what number we're up to. I think this is number 5 in the series. And today we are joined by our esteemed water polo coaches from both men's and women's water polo, John Loughran and Kyle Witt. So thank you for them. They have the great pleasure of doing this a little bit further in. We were interviewing coaches kind of very early on in the first week or two, and now we've been at home for a while now. So we'll kind of start with you, Kyle. You were in season at the time. What was that Thursday like? Where were you kind of when you found out that the season was over, and how did you respond with your team?
Well, that was certainly one of the best weeks we've ever had. I think going back a little bit, we finished up a tournament the prior weekend. Went on a little spring break, gave the kids 3 days off before we came back, ready to practice again. And during that time, my wife, who works in local government down here in Orange County, was kind of like, "Hey, heads up, some stuff's kind of going down. You might want to talk to your team about it when you get back," that kind of stuff. And it seemed pretty mild, pretty far, so we didn't really think much of it. Our first day of practice on Tuesday, we get back and it was real. We started figuring out real quick that stuff's starting to shut down, stuff's starting to have a problem. And we were training 2-a-days for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and we were getting ready to have our game, our first conference game against Azusa Pacific on Saturday. So we had to keep the team focused and get through that. And information wasn't really forthcoming from anybody. It's not that people weren't hiding it or not telling us. It's just people didn't have stuff. So we tried to have a daily meeting about it, had to keep everybody focused on next because we knew for sure. We just were so confident we were going to play that Saturday game no matter what was coming. And we had to keep everyone in line for that and ready to go and focused. And I'm telling you, I was really impressed with how focused everyone was despite everything that was going on. That Thursday night happened, and then that Friday morning we had a team meeting. And from there we didn't even have time to mourn our season. We had to go straight into getting people on airplanes. So everything changed real quick. We have a kid from Spain, 2 from Australia, New Zealand, South Africa. We got kids from Chicago, New Mexico, Portland, Oregon. We got kids all over the place. So we had to start getting people on planes and getting people out of here. And they were kind of like, "Yeah, we'll get in a plane. Yeah, we'll take care of it." I'm like, "You guys don't get it. This thing can shut down airports. And now you're going to be stuck living with me for the summer. So you better kind of get going here." So it was real quick. And to this day, when I talk to some of my athletes, I don't know if some of them really processed everything yet. It's still pretty fresh to everybody. We would have just had our championship weekend Saturday. So it's a real tough time right now. But yeah, it was really weird. I don't think it's a day I'll ever forget and a message I'll ever forget, but there's no speech for that. There's no coaching handbook for that. You just kind of have to deal with it as best you can. So it was definitely a first for me. And at the same time, it was a chance. It was a real good opportunity for our team to come a little closer together through this. And so far, I think we are, and I'm looking forward to moving forward as a group from this.
And John, obviously your season, for those that aren't aware, the men's water polo season is actually in the fall. And so your team is on spring break. I'm sure some of your guys were scattered all over the country. And how did you kind of communicate with them initially?
Well,
go from there.
We were real concerned with the European players that we have. So we have David Carrasco from Spain, Blazo Mitrovic from Montenegro, and Alex from Athens, Greece. So we were concerned about getting them on the plane as quickly as possible, just so there was no travel restrictions put in place. So that was first and foremost. My assistant coach, Ikaika, did a very good job. I was out of town at the time. We were on spring break, and I was in Florida. So we were getting people organized and getting the message out. Getting, much like Kyle, getting people on planes was a priority.
Yeah, and how do you, again, having international students, what kind of communication have you had with them kind of since they've been home, and is everybody safe?
My group, it seems to be safe, and I think Spain had a pretty serious lockdown compared to us. I think per capita, they have one of the highest infection rates. Yeah. David's known people who've had it, and he's known people who've passed away from it. So it's obviously very serious there. But we're communicating through either Viber or WhatsApp with the European players, and getting them on Zoom when we start up right after finals, again with Zoom. And they're getting the workouts every day, but still no one's in any pools, so it's kind of tough to simulate water polo workouts without being able to get in the pool.
Sure. And Kyle, I would assume everybody on your team is safe from all over the world.
Yeah, everybody's safe. Everybody's healthy. We've had some close family members of some people kind of be affected by this, or friends of friends, but no one directly associated with the program so far. But it's been weird talking to someone, and our South African players basically locked in their house. They've kind of put a complete lockdown. You could barely go out in your front yard. And then we've talked to our New Zealand athlete, and she's basically 2 weeks from now, they've kind of killed this thing, so their pools are opening up again. So you just have a wide gambit of people all over the world that have different experiences. And like John said, the girls from Spain are different than the girls from Greece, and that's just a couple hundred miles away. So it's very unique and very different in that regard.
What is the chatter kind of in the water polo community? Obviously, we're in an Olympic year, or we were in an Olympic year, and that affects the training and the team composition of collegiate water polo, because some of those student athletes are redshirt and train with their national team. They're now going to probably do that again. What does that kind of talk about in the water polo community right now?
With the men's team, they're extremely young. I'm in contact with one of the assistant coaches, and they're excited because it gives them another year to prepare. They have more college kids than probably a much lower median age than most teams. So they're excited about having that extra year once they can start getting the pool again. But they're keeping together with Zoom workouts, yoga, team meetings. But obviously those kids will get to play again this season if we're in season, which everyone's looking forward to that working out.
And Kyle, obviously it does affect the landscape of women's water polo quite a bit, because it is in the spring, kind of in those final stages of preparing for the Olympics or even some qualifiers. So I would assume the same thing will happen next spring, in theory.
Yeah, I think one of the unique things about NCAA women's water polo is it's the best league in the world. There's no other league like it, and because of that, so many foreign players come and play in the United States. So it's really very interesting. All these teams that have a foreign player, most of them are good enough to play on their national teams, and some of those national teams are good enough to go to the Olympics. Our landscape's going to be very unique. I don't know what teams are going to do. This past Olympics, the 2020 games, if they had happened, we potentially would have had 3 Olympians playing at that tournament. So one from South Africa, one from Japan, and one from Canada. So we would have been a first for a program, and it would have been a great opportunity. We're just hoping they get those same opportunities again in 2021 when things come around again. Again, hopefully 2021 comes around again. But yeah, the whole landscape's going to be real weird, and we're looking to take advantage of it. We think we'll have a really strong team next year, and we're going to start that preparation coming up this summer and really get ready to make sure our team is ready to.
Let's change gears a little bit. What do you miss most about not coming to work at LMU every day?
I was thinking about that today. I've had some conversations with the guys just this morning, and coming in, seeing the guys together, that constant interaction with the team, them going to the weight room, then coming back to the pool, and just being around them for as many as 3 to 4 hours a day is something that I definitely miss. And watching them together and watching the team continue to grow, and we were having a pretty good spring workout, and we were getting better and better. And the guys are very excited and motivated. So, that's something that I really miss. But I can still hear the motivation in their voices when I talk to them. And people are very excited for the upcoming season.
Kyle?
Yeah, same from my end. I mean, basically most coaches, put up with the paperwork and the office work so they can do the 2, 3, 4 hours a day kind of interacting with their team. And that's really what I miss the most. I mean, I'll gladly sit at a desk for 6 hours if I can be with them and work with them for 3 hours. So I kind of feel the trade-off's fair. So nothing against our compliance office or business office or any of those kind of those projects they put on our desk, but I'll do those as long as I get to work with the team. So that's been really tough to do. And talking to people through Zoom or through WhatsApp or all those things you're trying to talk to people through is helpful, and it's connection, but it's not the same. And that's really something our team's kind of learned through this, is they thought they were close to people through social media. They've learned real quick that social media does not replace human interaction. And it was a good lesson to learn. I wish we didn't have to learn it the hard way, but for the most part, everyone's like, I can't wait to get back in September. We better be coming back because I need to be back on campus and seeing all my friends. So I think, again, the team camaraderie and chemistry stuff, I'm sure every program will tell you this, it's really grown a lot just through distance.
Yeah, you bring up an interesting point. I think that the one thing, I've learned personally through this is you do miss that human interaction. I mean, texting or emailing, or, in a normal situation, or even now Zoom or whatever it might be, it is no replacement for, just walking down the hall or just catching up with the student athlete when you see them walking around on campus. You miss that portion of it more than anything.
Yeah, it's
really
such a huge part of our job, with or without the team. The athletic department, the coaches are tight. We've had some coaches happy hours just on Zoom, and that's been fun. We've had other coaches meetings, which I think have been important. But I think everyone, socially and professionally, we've done a couple of drive-bys to say hi to friends and stay in the car and wave and say hi. My son's turns 14 on Sunday, and we're going to have his friends drive by and say hi and do that. But yeah, it's unique. It's definitely unique. But I think it's going to make us really appreciate what we have at LMU and what the team has much more when we get back.
What have you been doing in kind of that extra idle time that you have now? Is your family sick of either one of you? Do they want you to just find a way to get back to work? Has that happened at all, or where are we at?
That might happen before this, but my wife has her own business, so she has kept her employees at home, and she's able to go to the office every day in Santa Monica because she's the only one there. So that I think has helped our situation. But we do a workout with the neighborhood kids every day, social distancing. We've got 4 or 5 kids. And I can run a workout. I take some from what the Strength Performance Center is sending out and mix it up a little bit. Kids, my daughter's 16, my son's 14, and kids within those ages. And that's been fun. It gives them something to look forward to after their classes. So from 4 to like 5:30, we have that going on. We're doing a lot of cooking. My dog gets walked a lot. And, a lot of movie watching as well. You were talking about, what was the app you were talking about the other day? Game night, Craig?
Oh, the app. I don't know. There's an app. Somebody else was talking about that you can play in like a trivia type game. Yeah, we haven't done that. We've been watching a lot of different movies and Netflix and everything else. I mean, I don't know what happens when you actually get to the end of Netflix. I think some people out there are going to find out. Kyle,
we've done one of the game nights with another family, and I forget. I think it's called Game Night itself.
Game night. Well, we've had some pretty heated Monopoly games in our household, and I don't think that's healthy for anybody. We probably need to stop playing Monopoly where I'm from. But Kyle, you've got a young daughter. What's that like, trying to keep her constantly entertained?
Well, first off, I'd say I feel pretty lucky. She's a pretty happy kid. For the most part, she falls down, she gets back up again. She's pretty tough, so it's pretty fun. It's a lot of fun watching her grow up. That's the first thing I'd say. She's kind of learning. She's got a bunch of words, and she's starting to put together 2 words, 3 words at a time. So you kind of feel like you get to watch her learn and develop and grow. So I wouldn't have normally had this time with her. So I got to feel pretty lucky for that. But then number 2, I mean, I'm losing some weight. I'm chasing this kid around. I mean, she is nonstop energy. She goes to a park and she just runs circles around the bases and just doesn't stop. So it's a lot of fun. You still have to watch her. She'll still run into oncoming traffic if you don't pay attention. But at the same time, she's she's a dog without a leash, man. She's out there getting after it. So she's having a lot of fun running around, and we're getting in the little swimming pool, doing all that stuff. So she's having a good time jumping in there. My wife's pregnant right now with her second child, so we're going to have a boy in July as well. So we're kind of hoping the hospitals will be good to go by that time. So we're starting to get the house prepared for that. So, you know, we're gonna have a pretty busy summer coming up here, you know, so it'll be a good time. But yeah, child, you know, taking care of a kid is full time. Like I said, the wife's working really hard right now for her job in the county. So definitely a lot of time spent with the little one. It's been great.
How nerve-wracking is that, knowing that you know your wife is pregnant and due in July? Obviously, with the hospitals being what they are, that could be probably pretty interesting. Is something you think about a lot, or not really?
Well, again, we're lucky that Jessica gets a lot of information, so we feel very confident that by July, about the middle of July is when we're due. We should be fine. Orange County hasn't been impacted too bad in the hospitals. I haven't been able to go to a bunch of ultrasounds for the past, I think, 2 months, at least month for sure. I haven't been allowed to go. So that's been a little tough, not getting to see the pictures and being a part of that. But at the same time, they feel, you know, if she had been giving birth a month ago, 6 weeks ago, I would have not been able to be in the delivery room. That's how locked down they were. And now it seems like by the time, you know, by July, it's another 10 weeks from now, we should be okay. We should be good to go. So it's something a little concerned about, but you know, the old coach of mine used to say, worrying's like a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but you don't get anywhere. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to have that philosophy of just not worrying about it. Don't concentrate on it. Concentrate on the positive. We got to figure out a name for this kid, man. We're way far away on stuff.
John Terrence.
You know, I can remember that. I love going to the Social Security website. For those that don't know, there's a website that has a list of every baby name, the top 1,000 names, boy or girl, for pretty much every year of birth. And it's a fascinating study. If you want to find out how outdated your name is, you know, like Craig is not a very popular name anymore. It I think defines what generation you were born in. I do think both of you are relatively safe. John seems to have stood the test of time, good biblical name. And Kyle actually, I think, is probably doing all right too. It's probably not dying as a name right now. I think it's okay.
Better not be.
Yeah, that's good. John, what have you done, you know, professionally to try to learn something about yourself during this time that you can maybe bring back when we get back to become coach? Because you get an opportunity to kind of reflect on things during when you're at home like this.
Yeah, we've talked about that. You've talked about it in coaches meetings. This is unique for coaches to have extended downtime. I've been watching a lot of video. I've been talking. I've had great conversations with peers, with colleagues, coaches. Number one, about what they're doing during this situation, and number two, just talking water polo, which has been outstanding stuff that we normally don't have time to do. But a lot of video, a lot of international water polo I've been watching. You know, YouTube is just stocked with it, and then you can go through various championships, various Olympics, and that has given me a lot to do and spend a lot of my time. And you know, along with watching recruit videos, you know, I'm anxious to get back to see it live because I need to do a better job evaluating, and it's hard to really evaluate as much as we were on video. But it's a lot of video and having a lot of conversations and touching base with a lot of people I haven't in a long time, that I've either worked with or that I've you know, coached against, and that's been really healthy, and I think that's been great.
Kyle, what about you? What have you kind of learned about yourself that you can bring back when we get back going at it?
Well, for the most part, I've been doing, like John said, a lot of media watching. I've been trying to watch my screen time, but I've been doing a lot of film watching, trying to both analyze our water polo, our opponent's water polo, and also a lot of, like John said, international stuff. You get pretty deep into YouTube if you don't watch out. But we've been watching a lot of the Italian league is kind of what our assistant and I have been watching. So it's been pretty fun in that regard. Regards to like podcasts, I listen to anything that takes my mind off of sports right now, or politics. That's kind of my only goal, is just to get into history a little bit, just to kind of change my mind up. And then books, I've read some weird ones, but at the same time I've read, you know, kind of I can't John, believe it or not. So, but I had run Maddie run, some of those things that are kind of interesting. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun reading, getting into reading again. I'll put it that way. Finally have time.
Yeah. Run Maddie Run is a great book. And I think, definitely a book for those that haven't read it. Talks really in depth about mental health and what it is like to be a college student and what really people are going through on the outside or on the inside that you might not appear on the outside. It's a fascinating book and very well written. So would highly recommend that book for anybody out there, especially anybody who likes athletics. Any kind of final wrap-up words of wisdom that you have from your bunker?
For us, it's a lot about staying in the moment and, not worrying about, and Kyle's doing a good job of that, it sounds like, when we're going to be back. With my family, it's just is approaching the day as the day as it is. And one thing that we did that was great, a socially distanced drive out to the California poppies way up by Lancaster. We did that this weekend, and I'd never done it before. And you can drive around the dirt roads, but the poppy reserve itself is closed, but there's plenty out there. So we've gotten out a little bit. My daughter's license test was canceled. So she's been doing some driving. We've been still practicing driving.
How's she doing?
She's good. She should have had her license by now. But we've gone up the Malibu coast. My sister-in-law lives up there. We've gone up to Malibu a few times. So we're getting some driving in. But in terms of us staying, it's staying positive and staying calm. And, that's really worked for us.
Kyle, any closing thoughts?
Nothing too crazy from my end. I mean, really, to be honest, we're just trying to keep everyone sane where they're at, just trying to check in with people and just making sure everyone's doing okay and all that. And everyone's at different stages. I think that's been what's been most fascinating about talking to a group, and they're so diverse and so unique as a team can be. It's been so nice to talk to people going through various stages of this and various lockdown stages, and people that are excelling at school, people that are excelling at Netflix, like you said. So we kind of have all different, we run the gambit on all of it, and everyone's keeping their head up. We've had kids whose parents have lost their jobs just straight up, not just put on furlough or anything like that. So just kind of talking to people through that. The uncertainty is just the only thing you can be confident in and just kind of buy into it. You can't, like John said, with living in the moment, you just can't get outside of it. If you start looking ahead too far, all of a sudden you'll think your school's canceled, your season's canceled, you'll never graduate from college if you go down the wrong path. And you've really just got to put that stuff behind you. We are starting to see a good trend here, and things are starting to turn around a bit, but we're still in this. It's still a good way to go. And I think for the most part, it's been fun talking to all the athletes, both recruits and, kids on the team, and just having them kind of be in various stages of this. It's been refreshing to know that you feel good about what you're doing.
Yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly. I think, the key thing to remember in all this is a common phrase that's used so often in coaching is control the controllables. And really, in this situation, we are kind of at the mercy of this virus that is spreading. And until it's under control to the point where we can actually resume some activities, we kind of have to take direction from the people that are making decisions as to whether or not we can resume things. So that's not something that we can control, and when we can, we'll be happy to get back and get at it. Well, I look forward to seeing both of you back on the pool deck or back inside Gersten or wherever we run into each other in person next time. But thank you for joining us today. Appreciate it, and go Lions.
Thanks, Craig. That was great. Appreciate it. Go Lions.
Go Lions.